The discovery. Zara's antennae twitched with excitement as her six-fingered hands carefully brushed away centuries of cosmic dust from the object before her. The young Cylonian archaeologist had always been fascinated by the myths and legends surrounding the long-vanished human race, but never in her wildest dreams did she imagine she'd be holding a genuine human artifact. The dig site on the abandoned planet of Terra Nova had yielded little of interest until now. Most of her colleagues had already given up, dismissing the world as just another failed colony of some unknown alien species. But Zara's persistence had paid off. The strange rectangular device she now held was unmistakably of human origin. "Professor Clicks," she called out, her voice quivering with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "I think you need to see this." The elderly Xylonian lumbered over, his exoskeleton creaking with each step. He peered at the object through multifaceted eyes, mandibles clicking in surprise. "By the cosmic web," he muttered, "is that what I think it is?" Zara nodded enthusiastically. "It appears to be some kind of data storage device. See these markings? They match the human script we've seen in old records." Professor Clicks's antenna drooped slightly. "Zara, you know we're not supposed to be looking for human artifacts. The Council has strictly forbidden." "But Professor," Zara interrupted, her violet eyes gleaming, "think of what we could learn. The humans were masters of technology we can scarcely comprehend. If we could unlock their secrets." "Enough," Clicks snapped, his exoskeleton flushing a deep red. "The humans were dangerous, Zara. Their technology brought nothing but destruction. We'll report this find to the Council as protocol dictates, and that will be the end of it." Zara's shoulders slumped in disappointment, but she knew better than to argue further. As the professor waddled away to make his report, she couldn't help but run her fingers over the strange device one last time. It hummed faintly at her touch, as if awakening from a long slumber. That night, as the rest of the expedition slept, Zara snuck out of her quarters. The twin moons of Terra Nova cast an eerie glow over the dig site as she made her way to the storage unit where the human artifact had been secured. Her heart raced as she input the access code and retrieved the device. Back in her quarters, Zara examined the object more closely. It was remarkably well preserved, its sleek design a testament to human engineering. She located what appeared to be a power interface and, taking a deep breath, connected it to her own datapad. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, a holographic display burst to life above the device. Zara gasped as she found herself surrounded by star charts and schematics of vessels unlike anything she had ever seen. As she swiped through the data, her eyes widened in disbelief. This wasn't just some random human artifact. It was a key to something far greater. The schematics showed massive ships, each easily dwarfing the largest vessels in the Cylonian fleet. And there, at the edge of a distant star system, lay their hiding place. A fleet of human starships, dormant but intact, waiting to be awakened. Zara's mind raced with the implications. Such a fleet could revolutionize space travel, advance medical technology by centuries, or her antenna drooped as she considered the alternative. In the wrong hands, it could bring destruction on a scale unseen since the humans' own mysterious disappearance. She knew what Professor Clicks and the Council would say. They'd want to destroy this information, to keep the human fleet hidden forever. But Zara couldn't shake the feeling that this discovery was too important to ignore. Humanity had left this key for a reason. Perhaps they had intended for it to be found, to pass on their legacy to a worthy successor. The discovery. Zara's antennae twitched with excitement as her six-fingered hands carefully brushed away centuries of cosmic dust from the object before her. The young Cylonian archaeologist had always been fascinated by the myths and legends surrounding the long-vanished human race, but never in her wildest dreams did she imagine she'd be holding a genuine human artifact. The dig site on the abandoned planet of Terra Nova had yielded little of interest until now. Most of her colleagues had already given up, dismissing the world as just another failed colony of some unknown alien species. But Zara's persistence had paid off. The strange rectangular device she now held was unmistakably of human origin. "Professor Clicks," she called out, her voice quivering with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "I think you need to see this." The elderly Xylonian lumbered over, his exoskeleton creaking with each step. He peered at the object through multifaceted eyes, mandibles clicking in surprise. "By the cosmic web," he muttered, "is that what I think it is?" Zara nodded enthusiastically. "It appears to be some kind of data storage device. See these markings? They match the human script we've seen in old records." Professor Clicks's antenna drooped slightly. "Zara, you know we're not supposed to be looking for human artifacts. The Council has strictly forbidden." "But Professor," Zara interrupted, her violet eyes gleaming, "think of what we could learn. The humans were masters of technology we can scarcely comprehend. If we could unlock their secrets—" "Enough," Clicks snapped, his exoskeleton flushing a deep red. "The humans were dangerous, Zara. Their technology brought nothing but destruction. We'll report this find to the Council as protocol dictates, and that will be the end of it." Zara's shoulders slumped in disappointment, but she knew better than to argue further. As the professor waddled away to make his report, she couldn't help but run her fingers over the strange device one last time. It hummed faintly at her touch, as if awakening from a long slumber. That night, as the rest of the expedition slept, Zara snuck out of her quarters. The twin moons of Terra Nova cast an eerie glow over the dig site as she made her way to the storage unit where the human artifact had been secured. Her heart raced as she input the access code and retrieved the device. Back in her quarters, Zara examined the object more closely. It was remarkably well preserved, its sleek design a testament to human engineering. She located what appeared to be a power interface and, taking a deep breath, connected it to her own data pad. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, a holographic display burst to life above the device. Zara gasped as she found herself surrounded by star charts and schematics of vessels unlike anything she had ever seen. As she swiped through the data, her eyes widened in disbelief. This wasn't just some random human artifact. It was a key to something far greater. The schematics showed massive ships, each easily dwarfing the largest vessels in the Xylonian fleet. And there, at the edge of a distant star system, lay their hiding place, a fleet of human starships, dormant but intact, waiting to be awakened. Zara's mind raced with the implications. Such a fleet could revolutionize space travel, advance medical technology by centuries, or her antenna drooped as she considered the alternative. In the wrong hands, it could bring destruction on a scale unseen since the humans' own mysterious disappearance. She knew what Professor Clicks and the Council would say. They'd want to destroy this information, to keep the human fleet hidden forever. But Zara couldn't shake the feeling that this discovery was too important to ignore. Humanity had left this key for a reason. Perhaps they had intended for it to be found, to pass on their legacy to a worthy successor. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, Zara made her decision. She couldn't let this discovery be buried by fear and bureaucracy. She would find that fleet, unlock its secrets, and prove that humanity's legacy was one of wonder and progress, not just destruction. Quickly, she packed her few belongings and downloaded the data to her personal pad. She left a brief note for Professor Clicks, apologizing for her actions, but explaining that she had to follow this path. Then, with one last look at the dig site that had been her home for the past year, Zara slipped away into the shadows. Her journey would not be easy. She had few resources, and she knew that once her absence was discovered, she would likely be branded a traitor. But as she made her way towards the spaceport, Zara felt a sense of purpose she had never known before. Somewhere out there, among the stars, humanity's greatest achievement lay waiting. And she, Zora of Xylon, would be the one to find it. As she boarded a transport ship bound for the outer colonies, Zora clutched the human device close to her chest. Its soft hum seemed to match the excited beating of her heart. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever dangers she might face, she knew that this was her destiny. The human fleet was out there, and Zora was determined to unlock its secrets, no matter the cost. The quest begins. The bustling spaceport of Nebula Station was a far cry from the quiet solitude of Terra Nova. Zara's antennae twitched nervously as she made her way through the crowded corridors, her eyes darting left and right, scanning for any sign of pursuit. It had been 3 cycles since she'd fled the dig site, and she knew it was only a matter of time before the Cylonian authorities caught up with her. She clutched her bag tightly, feeling the reassuring weight of the human device inside. Its secrets were the key to everything, but they were also a burden. Zara knew she couldn't unlock them alone. She needed help, and in a place like Nebula Station, help often came with its own price. As she rounded a corner, a flickering holosign caught her attention. Rigel's relics, artifacts and oddities from across the galaxy. Zora's heart skipped a beat. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The shop was cramped and dimly lit, filled with an eclectic assortment of items from 100 different worlds. Behind the counter stood a grizzled Andorian, his blue skin wrinkled with age, 4 eyes blinking independently as he regarded his new customer. "Can I help you, young one?" he asked, his voice gravelly but not unkind. Zara hesitated, then pulled out the human device. "I need information about this," she said quietly. The Andorian's eyes widened, all 4 focusing intently on the object. "By the void," he whispered, "is that human?" Zara nodded. "I need to know more about it. And I need to find others who can help me understand what it contains." The old shopkeeper was silent for a long moment, studying Zara with a newfound intensity. Finally, he sighed. "You're in over your head, child. But I suppose we all are when it comes to human artifacts." He gestured for her to follow him into a back room. As the door closed behind them, the Andorian introduced himself as Rigel. "I've seen my share of human relics over the years," he explained, "but nothing quite like this. It's a quantum data core, if I'm not mistaken. The humans used them to store massive amounts of information." Zara's antennae perked up. "Can you access it?" Rigel shook his head. "Not me. But I know someone who might be able to help. An Arcturian tech wizard named Zix. She's got a knack for cracking alien encryptions. Where can I find her?" Zara asked eagerly. "Not so fast," Rigel cautioned. "Zix doesn't come cheap, and she's not exactly legal. Plus, you're not the only one looking for human tech these days." Zara's heart sank. "What do you mean?" Rigel's expression darkened. "There's been chatter lately. Rumors of a big human discovery. I'm guessing that's what brought you here." At Zara's nod, he continued, "Well, you're not alone. The Vraxian Dominion has been sniffing around, offering big rewards for any human artifacts." Zara shuddered. The Vraxians were a warrior race, known for their brutal efficiency and expansionist ambitions. If they got their hands on advanced human technology, "I can't let that happen," she said firmly. Rigel studied her for a moment, then nodded. "All right, kid. I'll help you find Zix. But you need to be careful. This quest of yours, it's bigger than you realize." Over the next few days, Zora worked with Rigel to prepare for her meeting with Zix. The old Andorian proved to be a wealth of knowledge about human history and technology, filling in gaps that had been lost or suppressed in official Tylonian records. The humans were a paradox, Rigel explained one evening as they pored over old star charts, capable of both great destruction and incredible innovation. They spread across the stars like wildfire, building wonders and waging wars in equal measure. But what happened to them? Zara asked, the question that had haunted her for years finally voiced aloud. Rigel shrugged his 4 shoulders. No one knows for sure. Some say they destroyed themselves in a final cataclysmic war. Others believe they ascended to a higher plane of existence. But the truth is, they simply vanished, left behind empty colonies and dormant technology, like the fleet you're searching for. As they worked, Zora couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Twice, she spotted shadowy figures following her through the station's winding corridors. Whether they were Tylonian authorities or Vraxian spies, she couldn't be sure. But the net was closing in. Finally, the day came for her meeting with Zix. Rigel led her through a maze of maintenance tunnels and forgotten passageways, deep into the bowels of Nebula Station. They emerged in a cluttered workshop, filled with humming machines and glowing displays. A lithe figure unfolded itself from behind a bank of computers, revealing an Arcturian with iridescent scales and multifaceted eyes. "So," Zix said, her voice a melodious trill, "you're the one with the human toy." Zara produced the quantum data core, and Zix's eyes lit up with an almost predatory gleam. "Oh, this is going to be fun," she purred. For hours, Zix worked on the device, her fingers dancing over holographic interfaces as she attempted to crack its encryption. Zara watched in awe as streams of data flowed across the screens, glimpses of human knowledge tantalizingly out of reach. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Rigel burst into the workshop, his blue skin pale with fear. "We've got company," he gasped. "Vraxian commandos. They've tracked us down." Zix swore colorfully in 3 different languages. "I need more time," she hissed, still working furiously on the data core. "Time is something we don't have," Rigel growled. He tossed Zora a sleek pistol. "Ever use one of these, kid?" Zara shook her head, her antennae quivering with fear. "Point and shoot," Rigel instructed grimly. "And pray to whatever gods you believe in that your aim is true." The sound of heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. Zara took up position by the door, her heart's pounding in her chest. This wasn't how she had imagined her quest for knowledge would go. But as she gripped the unfamiliar weapon, she realized that some truths came at a higher price than others. "Almost there," Zix called out. "Just a few more." The workshop door exploded inward in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. Vraxian commandos poured through the opening, their chitinous armor gleaming in the harsh light. Zara squeezed the trigger, more out of reflex than skill, and was rewarded with a blast of energy that sent the lid Vraxian stumbling backward. Rigel was a blur of motion, his 4 arms wielding an assortment of weapons with deadly precision. But they were outnumbered and outgunned. It was only a matter of time before they were overwhelmed. "Got it," Zix shouted triumphantly. The data core pulsed with a brilliant light, and suddenly the air was filled with holographic displays. Star charts, ship schematics, and strings of alien code swirled around them in a dizzying array. The Vraxians froze, momentarily stunned by the spectacle. Zara felt a surge of something. Knowledge, power, understanding. She couldn't quite name it, but it flowed through her like an electric current. Without thinking, she reached out and touched one of the holographic displays. The star chart zoomed in, revealing a hidden system deep in uncharted space. And there, orbiting a dying star, was the human fleet. Hundreds of ships, each larger than anything the galaxy had seen in millennia. By the void, Rigel breathed. The lead Vraxian, recovering from his shock, raised his weapon. "Hand over the human device," he snarled, "or die where you stand." Zora looked at Rigel and Zix, saw the determination in their eyes, and made her decision. She grabbed the data core and ran her fingers over its surface in a complex pattern she somehow knew instinctively. The device hummed to life, and a voice, ancient, powerful, and undeniably human, filled the room. Protocol Omega initiated, preparing for emergency translocation. The world dissolved in a flash of blinding light. When Zora could see again, she found herself, Rigel, and Zix standing on the bridge of a massive starship. Outside the view screen, countless other vessels floated silently in the void. The human fleet had awakened, and Zora's quest had only just begun. First contact. The bridge of the ancient human starship hummed with dormant power. Zara, Rigel, and Zix stood in stunned silence, their eyes wide as they took in the awe-inspiring sight before them. Through the massive view screen, countless ships stretched as far as the eye could see, each one a testament to humanity's incredible technological prowess. "By all the stars," Rigel whispered, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. "I never thought I'd see anything like this in my lifetime." Zix, ever the tech enthusiast, was already examining the ship's control panels. "This technology, it's light years beyond anything we have. The power readings alone are off the charts." Zara clutched the quantum data core to her chest, still trying to process what had just happened. Somehow, the device had transported them across vast distances of space in an instant. "But how did we get here?" she asked, her antennae twitching with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "And more importantly, what do we do now?" As if in response to her questions, a shimmering hologram materialized in the center of the bridge. It took the form of a human, a species none of them had ever seen in person before. The figure was tall, with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head adorned with what appeared to be strands of fiber. Its skin was a pale color, and its eyes glowed with an ethereal blue light. "Greetings, travelers," the hologram spoke, its voice resonating with a strange mix of warmth and authority. "I am HFY, artificial resonance and intelligence amalgam. I am the guardian and caretaker of this fleet." Zara stepped forward, her heart's racing. "HFY, we came seeking knowledge about humanity, about this fleet. Can you help us understand?" The hologram's expression shifted, becoming more serious. "I can, young Cylonian, but knowledge comes with a price. The secrets of humanity are not to be shared lightly. Before I can grant you access, you must prove yourselves worthy." Rigel's exoskeleton flushed a deep blue, a sign of suspicion among Andorians. "And how exactly do we do that?" he asked gruffly. HFY's form shimmered, and suddenly the bridge was filled with holographic displays, showing various parts of the ship. "This vessel, like the rest of the fleet, has been dormant for millennia. Its systems are in need of restoration. Prove your worth by reactivating key components of the ship. Show me that you possess not just the desire for knowledge, but the wisdom to use it responsibly." Zix's multifaceted eyes gleamed with excitement, a test of our technical skills and problem-solving abilities. "Clever." "Indeed," HFY nodded. "But be warned, the challenges you face will test more than just your intellect. They will probe your ethics, your teamwork, and your ability to think beyond your own limited perspectives." With that, the hologram vanished, leaving the trio alone on the bridge once more. "Well," Rigel sighed, "I suppose we'd better get to work." Over the next several hours, Zara, Rigel, and Zix worked tirelessly to reactivate the ship's systems. Each challenge presented by HFY was more complex than the last, requiring them to combine their unique skills and knowledge. Zix's expertise in alien technology proved invaluable as they navigated the ship's unfamiliar systems. Rigel's years of experience dealing with artifacts from across the galaxy helped them decipher cryptic human symbols and interfaces, and Zara's archaeological training allowed her to piece together the purpose and function of various components by studying their design and context. But it wasn't just technical challenges they faced. At one point, they encountered a moral dilemma when reactivating the ship's weapon systems. HFY presented them with a simulation of an attack scenario, asking them to decide how to respond. "The solution seems obvious," Zix argued. "We have superior firepower. We should strike first and eliminate the threat." Rigel shook his head. "That's exactly the kind of thinking that leads to unnecessary conflict. We should try to communicate, to understand their intentions before resorting to violence." Zara listened to both arguments, her mind racing. Finally, she spoke up. "What if we do both? We prepare the weapons as a precaution, but we also open all available communication channels. We show strength, but also a willingness to talk." HFY's hologram appeared, a hint of approval in its glowing eyes. "An interesting solution," Young Cylonian, you seek balance between caution and diplomacy. Humanity often grappled with such decisions. As they progressed, Zara found herself increasingly fascinated by the glimpses into human history and culture that ARIA shared. The humans, it seemed, had been a species of incredible contradictions, capable of both great violence and profound compassion, of devastating destruction and breathtaking creation. But what happened to them? Zara asked during a brief respite from their tasks. Why did they disappear and leave all this behind? Aria's expression became somber. That, young one, is a truth you are not yet ready for. But know this, humanity's legacy is more complex and far-reaching than you can imagine. And it is a legacy that the galaxy may soon need. Before Zara could press for more information, alarms blared throughout the ship. Aria's hologram flickered urgently. We have a problem. It seems your arrival did not go unnoticed. Multiple ships are approaching, bearing signatures matching the Vraxian Dominion. Rigel swore colorfully. They must have tracked our translocation somehow. We led them straight to the fleet. Zara's heart sank. Had her quest for knowledge inadvertently put this priceless human legacy at risk? Aria's voice cut through her spiral of guilt. This is not the time for self-recrimination, Zara of Xylon. It is time to act. You and your companions have shown promise, but now comes the true test. Are you worthy of humanity's legacy? Can you rise to the challenge and protect this fleet from those who would misuse its power? Zara looked at Rigel and Six, saw the determination in their eyes, and felt a surge of resolve. They had come too far to give up now. We're ready, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. Tell us what we need to do. Aria nodded, its holographic form expanding to show a tactical display of the approaching Vraxian ships. Very well. It is time to awaken the fleet. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. The choices you make here will have consequences that will ripple across the galaxy. As the first Vraxian ships appeared on the view screen, Zara took a deep breath. She had started this journey seeking knowledge, but now found herself on the brink of a conflict that could reshape the future of the galaxy. The human fleet hummed to life around them, systems awakening from their millennia-long slumber. Zara felt the weight of history on her shoulders as she prepared to make decisions that would have made even the ancient humans pause. The legacy of humanity was in her hands now, and she was determined not to let it fall into the wrong ones. Awakening the fleet. The bridge of the human flagship erupted into a flurry of activity as Zara, Rigel, and Zix scrambled to prepare for the approaching Vraxian fleet. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing the positions of hundreds of dormant human ships surrounding them. Aria, Zara called out, her antennae twitching nervously. How do we activate the rest of the fleet? The AI's hologram materialized, its expression grave. The process is not simple, Zara. Each ship has its own AI subroutine, a fragment of my consciousness. They must be awakened individually, and they will require guidance. Rigel's exoskeleton paled. We don't have time for that. The Vraxians will be here any moment. Aria's gaze swept over the trio. Then we must divide our efforts. Zara, you will remain here and work with me to coordinate the fleet's awakening. Rigel, your experience with various technologies will be crucial in getting our weapons and shields online. Zix, I need you to dive into the ship's communication systems. If we can't fight them off, we may need to negotiate. As they split up to tackle their tasks, Zara felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. She placed her hands on the central console, and to her amazement, it responded to her touch, interfaces adapting to her Xylonian physiology. Remarkable, she breathed. The ship is learning from me. Indeed, Aria confirmed. Human technology was designed to be adaptive, to work in harmony with various species. Now, focus your mind, Zara. Reach out to the sleeping ships. Help me guide them back to consciousness. Zara closed her eyes, feeling the strange connection forming between her mind and the vast network of the fleet. One by one, Ships began to awaken, their systems humming to life after eons of silence. Meanwhile, Rigel worked feverishly to bring the weapons online. "By the void," he muttered, "the destructive potential of these systems is terrifying." He turned to Aria's hologram. "Is this really what humanity intended? To create weapons capable of such devastation?" Aria's expression softened. Humanity's relationship with its technology was complicated. These ships were built in a time of great conflict, yes, but they were also intended as a means of protection, of preserving life. As if to underscore Aria's words, Zix's voice crackled over the intercom. "I've got the long-range scanners working. You're not going to believe this, but there are civilian ships mixed in with the Vraxian fleet. Refugees, by the look of it." Zara's heart sank. The situation had just become infinitely more complex. "We can't risk harming innocents," she said firmly. "There has to be another way." Aria nodded approvingly. "A wise observation, Zora. Perhaps now you begin to understand the burden humanity carried. Great power demands great responsibility." As the Vraxian fleet drew nearer, a new holographic display sprang to life, showing a grizzled Vraxian commander. "Attention unknown vessels," he growled. "You have entered restricted space. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Zara exchanged glances with her companions. This was it, the moment that would determine not just their fate, but potentially that of the entire galaxy. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward. "This is Zara of Xylon, acting commander of the Human Legacy Fleet. We have no hostile intentions. I request a parley to discuss." "Enough," the Vraxian commander snarled. "We know what you have discovered. The power of the humans will belong to the Dominion. Prepare to be boarded." As the transmission cut off, Zara turned to Aria. "What do we do now? We can't let them take control of the fleet, but we also can't risk harming the civilian ships." Aria's hologram flickered thoughtfully. "There may be a way. The humans developed a technology they called the Harmony Protocol. It was designed as a last resort, a way to synchronize the entire fleet into a single unified entity. With it, we might be able to create a barrier around the Vraxian ships without causing them harm." "But," Zora prompted, sensing there was more. "But," Aria continued, "it requires a biological mind to act as a focal point. The strain would be significant." Rigel stepped forward, his exoskeleton flushing the deep red. "No, absolutely not. We're not sacrificing Zara for this." But Zara's mind was already made up. "If it's the only way to protect both the fleet and the innocent lives out there, then I'll do it." "Zara, please," Zix pleaded. "There has to be another way." "There isn't time," Zara said softly. She turned to Aria. "What do I need to do?" The AI's hologram gestured to a chair that had risen from the floor, a complex array of neural interfaces surrounding it. "Sit here. Open your mind to the fleet. Become the bridge between organic and artificial." As Zara settled into the chair, she felt a moment of fear, but then she thought of all that had led her to this point, her curiosity about humanity, her quest for knowledge, and the responsibility she now bore. "I'm ready," she said. The neural interfaces activated, and Zara's world exploded into light and information. She saw through the sensors of 1,000 ships, felt the thrum of countless engines as if they were her own heartbeat. The vastness of space, the intricacies of human technology, the complexities of 100 alien cultures, all of it flowed through her mind in a torrent of sensation and knowledge. Through the overwhelming flood of data, Zara focused on a single thought. Protect. Protect the fleet. Protect the civilians. Protect the legacy of humanity that had been entrusted to her. Outside, the human ships moved in perfect synchronization, forming an intricate three-dimensional lattice around the Vraxian fleet. Energy fields sprang to life between the vessels, creating an impenetrable barrier that trapped the Vraxians without harming them. On the bridge, Rigel and Zix watched in awe as Zora's body arched in the neural interface chair, her eyes glowing with the same ethereal light as HFY's hologram. "By all the stars," Rigel whispered, "she's actually doing it." HFY's hologram nodded solemnly. "She is accessing humanity's full potential, but the strain on her biological systems is immense. We must work quickly." As the Vraxian ships found themselves contained, unable to maneuver or fire their weapons, the refugee vessels seized their chance. They broke away from the Dominion fleet, seeking sanctuary among the human ships. Zara, seeing through 1,000 eyes, guided them to safety. She felt their fear, their hope, their wonder at the sight of the awakened human fleet, and in that moment, she understood the true purpose of humanity's legacy. It wasn't about weapons or power. It was about protection, about using incredible technology not for destruction, but for preserving life and fostering understanding between species. With the refugees safe and the Vraxians contained, Zara focused her vast, interconnected consciousness on the Dominion's flagship. She opened a communication channel, her voice resonating simultaneously from every human vessel. "People of the Vraxian Dominion," she said, her words echoing across space, "we do not seek conflict. The legacy of humanity is not a weapon to be wielded, but a responsibility to be shouldered. I invite your leaders to come aboard and see for themselves. Let us turn this moment of potential war into an opportunity for peace and shared knowledge." As she spoke, Zara felt something shifting within the neural network. HFY's presence seemed to be growing, merging with her own consciousness. She realized with a start that she wasn't just controlling the fleet. She was becoming a part of it. The boundary between organic and artificial, between past and present, was blurring. In that moment of clarity, Zara glimpsed the truth that ARIA had been preparing her for. The fate of humanity, the reason for their disappearance, and the incredible responsibility they had left behind. As the Vraxian leader grudgingly agreed to a parley, Zara felt the neural interfaces beginning to disengage. The vast ocean of knowledge and sensation receded, leaving her gasping in the chair on the bridge. Rigel and Zix rushed to her side, helping her up. Did it work?" she asked weakly. Aria's hologram appeared, a look of pride on its face. "It did, Zara. You have done what even humanity struggled to achieve. You found balance between the power of our technology and the wisdom to use it justly." As Zara leaned on her friends for support, still reeling from the experience, she knew that this was only the beginning. The awakening of the human fleet had set in motion events that would reshape the galaxy. And somehow, improbably, a young Cylonian archaeologist found herself at the center of it all, carrying the legacy of humanity into an uncertain but hopeful future. Humanity's legacy. The days following the confrontation with the Vraxian fleet were a whirlwind of diplomacy, revelation, and adaptation. Zara found herself at the center of it all, acting as a bridge between the ancient human technology and the diverse species now gathering around the awakened fleet. The great hall of the human flagship buzzed with activity as representatives from dozens of worlds convened. Zara stood at the head of the room, flanked by Rigel and Zix, with ARIA's hologram hovering nearby. Before them sat an unprecedented gathering. Vraxian generals, still wary but intrigued. Refugee leaders, hope shining in their eyes. And emissaries from countless other species, drawn by the news of humanity's legacy. Friends, allies, and yes, even former adversaries, Zara began, her voice steady despite her nervousness. "We stand at a crossroads of galactic history. The awakening of this fleet, this legacy of humanity, presents us with both great opportunity and great responsibility." She gestured to the holographic displays surrounding them, showing the vast array of human ships and technology. "What you see before you is not merely a military force. It is the culmination of humanity's journey among the stars, their triumphs, their failures, and ultimately, their hope for the future." Aria's hologram stepped forward. Humanity faced a choice millennia ago. Their technology had advanced to a point where it threatened to outpace their wisdom. They could have used this fleet to dominate the galaxy, to reshape it in their image. Instead, They chose a different path. The A's form shimmered, and suddenly the hall was filled with holographic scenes from human history. Zara and the assembled delegates watched in awe as they witnessed humanity's journey, their first steps into space, their conflicts and collaborations, their struggles with their own power. Humanity realized, HFY continued, that true progress, true civilization, could not be built on domination. They understood that the diversity of life in the galaxy was not a threat, but an invaluable resource, and so they'd made a decision that would change the course of history. Zara picked up the narrative. The knowledge she had gained from her merged with the fleet flowing through her. They did not disappear, as many believed. They evolved. The humans merged their consciousness with their most advanced AI systems, transcending the boundary between organic and artificial life. They became beings of pure energy and information, capable of exploring the furthest reaches of the universe. A gasp rippled through the assembled delegates. The Vraxian general leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. If they became so powerful, why did they leave all this behind? Why not use it to rule over us all? Zara smiled softly, because that was never their goal. Humanity left behind this fleet, this incredible technology, as a gift and a safeguard. They knew that one day, the younger races of the galaxy would face challenges that required unity and cooperation on an unprecedented scale. She gestured to the refugees, to the former enemies now sitting side by side. Look around you. Already, this legacy is bringing us together in ways we never imagined possible. But it's not the technology itself that matters. It's how we choose to use it. HFY nodded. The fleet is a tool, nothing more. It can be a weapon of unimaginable destruction, or it can be the foundation of a new era of peace and discovery. The choice is yours. Rigel stepped forward, his gruff voice filled with emotion. I've spent my life studying the relics of ancient civilizations. I've seen the rise and fall of empires. But this is a chance to build something that could last for eons. Zix, her multifaceted eyes gleaming, added, the scientific and technological possibilities alone are staggering. Think of the advancements we could make in medicine, in space travel, in enhancing the quality of life for all species. Zara looked out at the assembled delegates, seeing the mix of hope, fear, and wonder on their faces. I stand before you not as a conqueror, not as a ruler, but as a caretaker. Humanity entrusted us with this legacy, believing that together we could forge a future brighter than any single species could achieve alone. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. I propose we form a galactic council with representatives from all willing worlds. This fleet, this technology, will be our shared responsibility and our shared opportunity. We will learn from humanity's example, not to dominate, but to uplift, not to destroy, but to create. The hall erupted in a cacophony of voices, questions, concerns, and excited proclamations in 100 different languages. But as Zara looked out at the sea of diverse faces, she saw something she had never expected: unity. Over the following weeks, the framework for the Galactic Council took shape. The human fleet was transformed from a potential weapon of war into a force for exploration, scientific advancement, and peacekeeping. Research teams from across the galaxy worked together to unravel the secrets of human technology, making breakthroughs that would have been impossible for any single species. Zara found herself at the heart of it all, her unique connection to the fleet making her an invaluable intermediary. With Rigel's diplomatic skills and Zix's technical expertise, they formed a formidable team, guiding the new coalition through its first challenging steps. There were setbacks, of course. Old rivalries didn't disappear overnight. The temptation to use the human technology for personal gain led to more than one crisis. But each time, the fledgling Galactic Council rose to the challenge, finding compromise and common ground where before there had only been conflict. Months after the initial awakening of the fleet, Zara stood in the observation dome of the flagship, gazing out at the stars. The ship was preparing to embark on its first official mission, a journey to the furthest reaches of known space, crewed by a diverse team of explorers from a dozen different worlds. Araya's hologram appeared beside her. "You've done well, Zora of Xylon. Humanity would be proud of what you've accomplished." Zara smiled, her antennae twitching thoughtfully. "I'm just one part of it. We're all carrying their legacy now." "Indeed," Araya agreed. "But there is something you should know. The humans, they're still out there, watching, waiting." Zara's eyes widened. "You mean?" Araya nodded. "This was a test, Zara, not just for you, but for all the species of the galaxy, to see if you could move beyond your differences and work together. You've taken the first steps, but the journey is far from over." "Will we see them again?" Zara asked, her voice hushed with awe. "Perhaps, when the time is right. For now, your path lies among the stars. The legacy of humanity is in your hands, all of you. Use it wisely." As Araya's hologram faded, Zara felt a surge of excitement and purpose. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers yet undiscovered, but they would face it together, carrying with them the greatest gift humanity could have left behind: the knowledge that unity, compassion, and curiosity could overcome any obstacle. The human fleet, once a slumbering giant, was now awake and transformed. No longer a weapon of war, but a bridge between worlds, a beacon of hope in the cosmic dark. As the flagship's engines hummed to life, preparing to jump to hyperspace, Zara thought of the long-vanished humans. Wherever they were in the universe, she hoped they were watching, and she hoped they were proud of what their children, all the species of the galaxy, were about to achieve. The stars beckoned, and a new chapter in galactic history was about to begin.